You ever seen the Statue of Liberty and thought, yeah, cool statue, and then just moved on? Yeah, same. But here's the thing nobody tells you. That statue is hiding numbers that don't just describe her, they expose her. Like the kind of numbers that whisper secret messages about power, freedom, even rebellion, all built into her metal frame. For real, her finger alone is 8 feet long. The spikes on her crown, they're not just for style. And get this, her entire design is so intentional, it's basically a giant code standing in the middle of New York Harbor. And no, this isn't just another History Facts video. We're about to dig into billion-dollar tourism, Hollywood cameos, political protests, and a freedom symbol so detailed, even her toes are sending a message. By the end of this, you'll never look at the Statue of Liberty the same way again. Actually, you'll start wondering what else the world's been hiding in plain sight. Let's crack it open. All right, so here's the deal. Everyone knows the Statue of Liberty. She's that giant green lady with the torch, right? Shows up in postcards, emojis, disaster movies. You've seen her 1,000 times. But the real story, the one that got me hooked, it's buried in the numbers. Not just her size, not just her age. I'm talking about hidden messages that are literally baked into her design. I stumbled across this weird fact one night. Her index finger is 8 feet long. 8 feet. That's taller than most NBA players, and that sent me down a rabbit hole. What else was exaggerated? What did it all mean? Turns out, nothing about her is random. Every foot, every spike, every inscription has a purpose. It's like the Statue of Liberty was engineered not just to impress you, but to tell you something. Something people have missed for over a century. And here's where it gets even better. Those numbers aren't just symbolic. They're strategic. They helped create one of the most iconic global symbols of freedom and pulled in billions of dollars through tourism, merchandise, and media appearances. She's not just standing there looking pretty. She's working. She's a giant, 300-foot-tall marketing genius and political powerhouse disguised as a sculpture. So yeah, this video, it's not about random trivia. It's about decoding a masterpiece that's been hiding right in front of us. Once you see what all these numbers really mean, you'll get why she became more than a statue. She became a message to the world. And somehow, most of us never got the memo. Let's change that. All right, before we dive into all the wild numbers and secrets hidden in the Statue of Liberty, we've got to roll the clock way back, like mid-1800s back, to figure out where she even came from in the first place. Because trust me, her origin story isn't just interesting, it's insane. So picture this. It's 1865. The American Civil War has just ended, and over in France, this sculptor named Frédéric Auguste Bartholdi is dreaming big, like really big. He's obsessed with building something monumental, something that would last forever. Now Bartholdi wasn't just an artist. He was a guy with vision. His dream? To create a colossal statue that symbolized liberty and progress. And America? Fresh out of war, trying to redefine itself? That sounded like the perfect place to put it. Here's where it gets even more cinematic. Bartholdi initially wanted to build something like this in Egypt, near the Suez Canal. That didn't pan out, but the idea stuck with him. Then he met a French political thinker named Édouard René de la Boulaye, who believed the US represented the ideal of democracy. La Boulaye was like, yo, what if we give America a giant statue to celebrate their independence and our friendship? Bartholdi was like, say less. So Bartholdi sails to America, scopes out New York Harbor, and instantly knows. This is the spot. He starts sketching designs, a robed woman holding a torch, standing tall as a beacon of hope. But he hits a problem. He can design it, sure, but building it? That's a different beast. The statue would be massive. He needed help. Enter Gustav Eiffel. Yes, the Eiffel Tower guy. Eiffel designed the iron skeleton inside the statue that allows it to stand upright while staying hollow. Without him, Lady Liberty would have crumbled. He basically made her the Iron Woman before Marvel even thought of the concept. Construction kicked off in France in the 1870s. Get this. It was assembled like a massive 3D puzzle. Over 350 individual pieces were hammered into shape and then shipped across the Atlantic Ocean in 214 wooden crates. Imagine unboxing that Amazon order. And funding? Oh, it wasn't easy. The French paid for the statue itself, but Americans had to pay for the pedestal. And honestly, most people in the US didn't care enough at first. More on that drama later. But the statue? She was finished, piece by piece, until finally in 1886, she was unveiled in New York Harbor, just as Bartholdi had envisioned. So now you know, the Statue of Liberty wasn't just gifted like a birthday present. She was dreamed up, designed like a skyscraper, and built by the same guy who made one of the most iconic towers on Earth. And yeah, her story started in France, but her message? That was meant for everyone. All right, now let's get into the part that blew my mind, the dimensions. Because when you really look at the Statue of Liberty, it's not just big. It's intentionally, symbolically, almost outrageously massive in all the right places. Every measurement tells a story, and once you hear them, you'll realize this isn't just architecture. It's a full-on statement. So, let's start with the basics. From the base of the pedestal to the tip of the torch, the Statue of Liberty stands at 305 feet tall. That's roughly the height of a 22-story building. Now here's what's wild. The statue itself, without the pedestal, is 151 feet. That means almost half of her height is just foundation. Why? Because she's not just meant to be seen, she's meant to tower over everything. She's supposed to dominate the skyline like a lighthouse of liberty. But let's zoom in a bit. Her right arm, the one holding the torch, that's 42 feet long. The torch itself, 29 feet high. Imagine that for a second. A single flame that's almost as tall as a 3-story house. The flame was even covered in 24-karat gold leaf, because when you're symbolizing enlightenment, you better make it shine. And her index finger? It's 8 feet long, like longer than most couches. That's the kind of number that doesn't just grab attention, it commands it. Every exaggerated feature was designed to make you stop and feel something. Awe, power, hope. She's basically an emotional billboard. Now her feet? Let's talk about those. She wears size 879 sandals. Not even joking. Each foot is 25 feet long, about the length of a small bus. And she's not just standing still either. If you look closely, one foot is slightly forward. She's walking. That's on purpose. She's moving forward, out of the chains of oppression, stepping into the future. It's subtle, but powerful. Then, there's her crown. And this is one of my favorite parts. It has 7 spikes. That's not a random design choice. The 7 spikes represent the 7 continents and 7 seas, meaning her message, freedom, enlightenment, hope, isn't just for the US, it's for the whole world. Global symbolism baked into a headpiece. And just when you think that's all, she's holding a tablet in her left hand, like a giant stone book. On it, The date, July 4th, MDCCLX16. That's July 4th, 1776, the day the US declared independence. It's not written in modern digits. It's carved in Roman numerals to link back to ancient civilizations and law. Again, intentional. She's not just representing America. She's representing the idea of freedom as a timeless concept. All these numbers, these wild, oversized, symbolic numbers, they're not just measurements. They're metaphors. The scale, the structure, the symmetry, it all screams. This is bigger than any one nation. It's meant to inspire everyone who sees her, whether you're pulling into New York Harbor in 1890 or scrolling Instagram in 2025. So yeah, next time someone says she's just a big statue, hit them with this. Her index finger is taller than you, bro, and it's pointing at your freedom. Okay, now we're about to level up. Because while the dimensions of the Statue of Liberty are impressive, it's the details hiding in plain sight that really tell you who she is. These aren't just artistic choices or decorative touches. They're full-on secret messages, right there for the world to see, if you know where to look. Let's start at her feet. Most people don't even realize this, but Liberty isn't just standing tall, she's breaking free. At her right foot, partly obscured by her robe, are shattered chains and a broken shackle. You won't see this in most postcards or tourist shots, but they're there. Intentionally subtle, but deeply symbolic. These chains represent the breaking of tyranny and oppression. And remember how we mentioned she's stepping forward? That foot is literally moving away from bondage. It's one of the most powerful metaphors in the entire statue. And it's almost invisible to the casual viewer. Now move up to her tablet, the one she's holding in her left hand. You might have seen the inscription before, July 4th, MDCLX16. That's July 4th, 1776, written in Roman numerals, the date of the US Declaration of Independence. But here's the genius. It's not just a date. It's a declaration etched in stone, literally. It tells the world what this statue is built on: freedom, independence, revolution. She's holding the blueprint of the country in her hand. Next, let's talk about her gaze, because Liberty isn't just looking randomly into the distance. She's actually facing southeast, which seems like a weird angle at first. But there's a reason for that. It allows the statue to greet ships entering New York Harbor. That positioning is intentional. It makes her a literal welcoming figure. For millions of immigrants arriving through Ellis Island, she was the first thing they saw. That wasn't by accident. It was choreography. And of course, we can't ignore the torch. That's the part everyone notices. But even that's loaded with meaning. The torch isn't just for show. It's called the Torch of Enlightenment. It represents the idea that liberty lights the way forward. The fact that it's held high above her head shows that freedom and knowledge are guiding forces. It's a lighthouse for ideals, not just for ships. Here's another one. Her robe. She's dressed like a Roman goddess, specifically Libertas, the goddess of liberty and personal freedom. That's a callback to the idea that democracy and civil rights stretch back to ancient civilizations. Her clothing roots her in timeless, universal values. Again, not a random aesthetic. It's a reference. And this one's subtle but important. The color. She wasn't always that famous green. Originally, she was a shiny copper color, because she is copper. Over time, oxidation turned her green, which ended up giving her that distinctive look. But here's the twist. The green color actually enhanced her mythic presence. She looks ancient, eternal, like she's always been there. It made her seem even more iconic. All of these elements, the broken chains, the torch, the tablet, the robe, they're part of a language, a visual code. Liberty isn't just a statue you look at. She's a story you read, and every part of her is a sentence. So yeah, she's not just standing there for selfies. She's sending out a message, loud, clear, and made of metal. Freedom isn't passive. It's forward-moving, global-reaching, and always worth fighting for. All right, now let's follow the money, because as jaw-dropping as Lady Liberty's size and symbolism are, she's also a full-blown economic powerhouse. We're talking billions of dollars. Yep, the Statue of Liberty isn't just a monument. She's a magnet for global attention, tourism, merchandise, media, and more. And the numbers behind that? Honestly, they're just as fascinating as her design. Let's start with the most obvious: tourism. The Statue of Liberty draws around 4.5 million visitors every year. That includes ticketed ferry rides, pedestal tours, crown visits, each one coming with a price tag. Add in the hotels, restaurants, taxis, and souvenir shops that benefit from her existence, and you've got a revenue stream that feeds into the broader New York City economy in a huge way. According to NYC tourism data, the Liberty Island experience is responsible for contributing roughly $3.5 billion annually to the city's tourism industry. Yeah, billion with a B. But she doesn't stop at real-world visits. Lady Liberty is also a pop culture icon. She's shown up in over 200 movies and TV shows. Think Ghostbusters 2, The Day After Tomorrow, Planet of the Apes, X-Men, even National Treasure. Every time she appears, she reinforces her symbolic value, and that visibility boosts her brand even more. She's like the most consistent unpaid extra in cinematic history. And then there's the merchandising. You can't walk through NYC without seeing Liberty's face on something. Snow globes, t-shirts, keychains, bobbleheads, magnets, mugs, you name it. And here's the thing. Even though she's technically a national monument, she's also one of the most licensed and replicated icons on Earth. That crown and torch? They're a branding goldmine. The amount of cash that changes hands because someone wanted a foam crown or a miniature torch? Massive. But the impact goes beyond just products and profits. She's also a diplomatic symbol, used in campaigns, protests, speeches, and international messaging. When a politician stands in front of the Statue of Liberty, it's more than just a scenic backdrop. It's a statement. She's been used in political ads, humanitarian campaigns, even international diplomacy. She's currency, just not the kind you carry in your wallet. And here's a fun angle. Even her image has commercial value. You'll see her silhouette used in everything from fashion logos to construction company ads. She's become shorthand for freedom, strength, and credibility. That kind of brand identity? Companies pay millions trying to manufacture it. Lady Liberty just has it built in. So when we say the Statue of Liberty attracts billions, we're not being dramatic. Between tourism revenue, merchandise, pop culture appearances, branding influence, and political capital, she's probably one of the most profitable statues in the world. And the best part? She doesn't even move. She just stands there, doing her thing, and cash basically rains from the sky. Bottom line, Liberty isn't just an icon. She's a global economic engine, wrapped in copper and standing on a pedestal. The torch? It's lighting the way, and the way leads straight to billions. Okay, so up until now we've talked a lot about the structure, the symbols, and the money. But here's where things get really human. Because behind all the copper and engineering and billion-dollar impact, The Statue of Liberty has a backstory that's messy, emotional, political, and full of people who either made her happen or tried to challenge what she stood for. These are the stories most people never hear about, but they reveal a whole different side of Lady Liberty. Let's start with one of the most incredible but forgotten heroes of the whole project, Joseph Pulitzer. Yeah, that Pulitzer, the guy the journalism prize is named after. Back in the 1880s, the statue was complete in France, but the Americans hadn't built the pedestal yet. The government wasn't funding it. The wealthy elites weren't funding it. And public interest? Pretty low. Most people were like, cool statue, but why should I pay for a base? Pulitzer saw this as a challenge. So he launched a campaign in his newspaper, The New York World, asking everyday Americans to pitch in whatever they could. Here's the twist. He promised to print the name of every single donor in his paper, no matter how small the amount. We're talking pennies, nickels, whatever folks could spare. Kids, immigrants, farmers, even people who couldn't read the paper were sending in money just to be part of something bigger. That was one of the first ever crowdfunding campaigns in history. And it worked. Over 120,000 donations later, they raised enough to build the pedestal. Without Pulitzer, there's a good chance the statue would still be chilling in crates. But not everyone was thrilled about Lady Liberty. When she was unveiled in 1886, a group of suffragists, women fighting for the right to vote, held a protest during the ceremony, and their point hit hard. How can a statue of a woman represent freedom when actual women in America couldn't vote? They even chartered a boat and sailed around the island, holding up signs and demanding to be seen. So from day one, the Statue of Liberty wasn't just a symbol of hope. It was also a symbol people pushed against when they felt excluded from its message. And there's another layer to this. The African American press and activist community had mixed feelings about the statue too. Some felt it was hypocritical to celebrate liberty with such a grand monument, when so many Black Americans were still dealing with systemic racism, economic oppression, and Jim Crow laws. A now famous editorial from that time asked, "What is liberty to the Negro?" It was a call-out like, "Don't tell us the chains are broken until we all feel it." These stories don't take away from the statue's power. They add to it. They show that liberty is an ongoing conversation, not a finished product. The fact that the statue inspired protests, debates, and donations from all walks of life means she was doing exactly what she was built to do: spark dialogue, challenge power, and make people think. So yeah, while she may be made of copper and steel, the story of the Statue of Liberty is very much human. It's people who gave her life, people who believed in her, and people who demanded she live up to her promise. So how did this massive copper statue on an island in New York Harbor go from being just a gift from France to becoming one of the most recognized symbols on Earth? It wasn't automatic. It wasn't just the design. The Statue of Liberty earned that global status through decades of emotional moments, historical events, and cultural storytelling that elevated her from a monument to a movement. Let's start with her most defining role: welcoming immigrants. From the late 1800s to the early 1900s, more than 12 million immigrants passed through Ellis Island, which is located just next to Liberty Island. For many of them, Lady Liberty was the very first thing they saw after weeks on a cramped, uncertain voyage across the Atlantic. She was massive. She was still. She was glowing with promise. And in that moment, she wasn't just a statue. She was a beacon. There are actual letters and interviews from that time where immigrants talk about crying at the sight of her, or feeling like they'd finally made it. Some thought she was an angel, Others said she gave them hope before they even stepped foot in America. That emotional imprint? That's what made her iconic, not just her size or her beauty, but the timing. She appeared at the exact moment when people were most desperate for something to believe in. But her symbolism didn't stop at the harbor. Over time, liberty evolved into a universal metaphor. During World War II, she became a symbol of what the Allies were fighting to protect: freedom from tyranny. Posters, stamps, and recruitment campaigns used her image to rally people. And post-war, she became a cultural ambassador, a reminder of democracy in a world rebuilding itself from destruction. And even in recent decades, she's stayed relevant. During protests, people hold up images of the Statue of Liberty wearing a blindfold or holding a sign instead of a torch. Activists from across the political spectrum have used her as a stand-in for freedom, justice, immigration rights, women's rights, you name it. Her image is flexible, but always tied to one idea: liberty. She's also gone digital. In memes, emojis, and viral campaigns, she continues to show up whenever people want to express big ideas about justice and identity. Her message crossed borders a long time ago. She's been replicated in dozens of countries, with mini versions in Paris, Tokyo, Las Vegas, even on the Seine River in France, as a reminder of where she came from. That's the thing. She might physically stand in New York, but emotionally, she belongs to everyone. Because her message wasn't designed to age. The 7 spikes on her crown represent the 7 continents and 7 seas. That was never subtle. That was the point. Freedom everywhere. And maybe that's why she's lasted. She wasn't just built to be seen. She was built to mean something. And over time, the world has filled her with more meaning than any sculptor or engineer could have imagined. She's gone from statue to storyteller, from copper to cultural DNA. So yeah, she started as a gift. But it's what people saw in her and felt because of her that turned the Statue of Liberty into a global icon. So now that we've looked at the jaw-dropping numbers, the hidden symbols, the billion-dollar impact, and the powerful human stories behind the Statue of Liberty, it's time to ask the big question. What do all these numbers actually mean? Because here's the truth. These aren't just random measurements or engineering specs slapped together to build something cool. Every inch of the Statue of Liberty was designed with intention. The numbers are messages, and when you line them up, it becomes clear. She's not just representing freedom, she's teaching it. Let's break it down. Her 305-foot total height? That's not just to look epic. It's to dominate the skyline. She was built to be seen from miles away by people arriving with nothing but a suitcase and a dream. Her sheer size says, "You've arrived somewhere that matters." The 151-foot statue sitting on a 154-foot pedestal? That's balance. It shows that freedom needs a strong foundation. And it's not just about the individual, but the platform supporting them. Her torch, standing 29 feet tall, isn't just about light. It's about guidance. It's high above her head because enlightenment, the pursuit of truth, justice, liberty, should always be our guiding force. And that 8-foot index finger? It points upward. She's not giving a speech, she's not clenching a fist. She's lifting a light and pointing to something bigger than herself. A direction, a goal. The 7 spikes on her crown are loud and clear. Liberty isn't just for one nation. It belongs to all 7 continents, across all 7 seas. Her tablet, marked with the birth date of American independence, ties that idea of freedom to a real, historical fight. She's saying, this wasn't easy, but it was worth it. Even the stuff most people miss. The broken chains at her feet, the step forward she's taking, the robes that echo ancient Roman ideals of justice and citizenship. Every part of her design is pushing one message. Freedom is a journey. It's not static. It requires breaking from the past, stepping into the unknown, and carrying your ideals with you. And when you take all these numbers together, you realize they form a kind of silent speech. One that says, freedom should be big enough for everyone. It should stand above politics, borders, and time. And it should never be passive. It should move forward. She's not just a statue standing in a harbor. She's a copper-coated manifesto. She doesn't shout. She doesn't need to. Her dimensions, her proportions, her placement, they all whisper the same thing over and over to everyone who sees her. You are free, but don't forget what it took to get here and what it takes to stay free. So the next time you see a photo of her, or you catch a glimpse of her from a plane window or a ferry ride, you'll know. You're not just looking at a sculpture, you're reading a message written in feet, spikes, chains, and stone, and now you understand it. So, now that you've seen Lady Liberty in a whole new light, her numbers, her secrets, her stories, her billions, let me ask you this. What did you think she stood for before this video? And what do you think she stands for now? If this made you pause and go, whoa, I never knew that, then do me a favor. Hit that like button. It helps this video reach more people who've only seen the surface, but never looked deeper. And if there's a part of the statue's story that hit you hardest, the chain at her feet, the suffragists circling her on a boat, the 8-foot finger pointing the way, drop it in the comments. I want to hear what's stuck with you. Also, if you've got a favorite monument or symbol you've always been curious about, like you suspect there's more going on under the surface, let me know. I might just break it down in a future video. And hey, if you made it this far, you clearly love uncovering the hidden layers in things. So don't stop here. Subscribe, because we're not done exploring. The Eiffel Tower, the Great Wall, the pyramids, they've all got secrets too. We're gonna uncover the stories hiding behind the stone, steel, and symbols you thought you already understood. Thanks for hanging out with me today. Until next time, stay curious, keep questioning, and always look twice. Because sometimes, the biggest messages are hiding in the numbers.